What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the D.O.G podcast. As always, I'm Drew with German OC, and this week we're gonna cover a little bit of a Super Bowl preview and some interesting prop bets that we think are entertaining.
So yeah, Super Bowl's coming up this next Sunday. We got the Eagles and the
Who cares?
Chiefs. And you
Who gives
just
a
you
fuck?
just don't care. You're just over it.
Who
It's just the
who gives a
most
damn? Season ended 2 weeks ago.
the most salty fan base in the entire NFL are the Cowboys, hands down. You can't take an L like ever. Ever, Drew.
Nah, I beg to differ. There's so many Niner fans on my Twitter feed. Man, it was crazy. The number of times if Purdy didn't get hurt, I was like, oh,
It,
dude.
you could speculate. You never know. I mean, he could have still played, and they still could have lost. It could have come down to the wire. You never know.
Hmm.
It would have been more competitive, that's for sure. But you can't tell. There's no way of possibly knowing. But we do know that the Eagles are in, and is it about time that you're going to admit it that they're not frauds, or
Frauds,
you're
frauds,
still?
frauds, frauds, frauds.
I guess we'll find out next week, right?
They're gonna fucking win the Super Bowl. I'm still calling frauds. Frauds.
They had the easiest road, right? I mean, way easier than what the Chiefs had to go through to get
Yes, the
there,
absolute easiest roads.
right?
Such an easy regular season, easy playoffs.
I
I
mean,
don't know. I hope the Chiefs just absolutely obliterate them.
they
Probably won't
kind of
happen, but
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but they kind of remind me a little bit, or at least the feel of it kind of reminds me a little bit of Cam Newton and the Panthers when they win and lost against the Broncos. It feels like it's kind of similar, right? Like the running quarterback, dynamic defense or dynamic offense, kind of an easier route in the NFC than it is in the AFC, right? Because I
mm,
mean, the AFC at that time were like there's guys like Tom Brady and stuff like that. Now in the AFC, there's guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen that you got to go through, and the Chiefs kind of went through a tougher road, right, than the Eagles did.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Eagles team is good, but I never felt like they were overpowering to like just completely dominate that NFC.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they had a good record and they won some good games, but like they weren't that. When you see a Super Bowl game, like these are the best two teams in their division, and you're right. It reminds me a lot of that Panthers team. You kind of wonder like how did this team get here?
Right.
Outside their quarterback, what do they got going on for them? So that's kind of how I feel about the Eagles. And like you were saying, the Chiefs are good, man. Patrick Mahomes is good, and he's doing it with a lesser team than what he's had in previous years, right? I mean, his last Super Bowl, like that team was far more loaded offensively and
Mm-hmm.
defensively compared to what it is now. And so to see them still winning games, grinding it out, stuff like that, it seems like that experience is there a lot more for the Chiefs.
Right. 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 OC, what would you say is the most convincing win that the Eagles had all year? Like you look at the record, they haven't really impressed, right? Like other than like dominating offensively and of course the front for their defense is like lights out. But what team or what game really stands out to you?
I think the
The
game
Niners
against
game. The Niners game.
no, the it was actually a loss that impressed me. The loss
Uh,
against the Cowboys by what 3 when they didn't even
with
have
the
Jalen Hurts.
right,
So I mean, Gardner Minshew literally almost carried them to a victory. And it was a game that Dallas basically needed, right? Because they wanted to
mm,
keep their positioning. I mean, many people thought Philly didn't really have anything to play for, at that point. So that was kind of a game that I thought Dallas was gonna blow them out of the water. It's a home game, it's Christmas
mm,
Eve, and Philly just kept it neck and neck up until like a couple minutes left in the fourth.
right.
I guess the Giants, but I mean, I thought the Giants were gonna actually win that game, and Philly just obliterated them out of the water. Um, yeah, but they've just dominated, and until like I'm not gonna doubt them. So until they prove otherwise, we'll see Sunday, right? Because
Right.
you get the biggest task, you get the biggest. You're in the biggest stage. You're in the biggest game. You got probably the best quarterback in the league that you got to face. So that's for me, it's probably the Dallas game and then the two playoff games that they just
Right.
completely annihilated the other side of the or whoever was on the other side of the ball.
Mhm. And on the other side, I mean, for the Chiefs, this has got to be a pretty much a legacy game for Mahomes, right? Like this is what already his third Super Bowl that he's been in. He's only like what
Hmm.
27. He's about to turn 28. This has got to be the big legacy game, right, for him. Like he's got to be like the main character of the Super Bowl had a character right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like his coming of age moment, right?
Hmm.
Like he's been to two already. He's won one, he's lost one, but this is almost like the AFC is still kind of up for grabs. The way that Burrow has been playing,
Hmm.
Josh Allen, people talk about him. You know, maybe he's going to be the best quarterback in the league. This is Patrick Mahomes working to solidify, like, hey, I'm the new guy. Tom Brady's gone. It's my league now, type of thing. So yeah, I think he's kind of got a lot to prove here. Um, to kind of like solidify who he really is.
Well, now that Brady's quote unquote retired, right? Like, I mean, it's still up in the air whether or not he's going to come back. You guys think he's going to come back? I really don't think so. But if he doesn't come back, those Super Bowls are set, right? 7 Super Bowls. He's got 7 wins. Do you think Patty Mahomes is going to be the guy to catch him, or do you guys think anybody's ever going to catch him
I mean, he's off to a great fucking start, Mahomes, right? I
if
mean,
he
like
if
you
he
said,
wins
three.
this week?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be a 2 for 3 by the age he's 27. Tom Brady is 45. He won his last one at 43, 44.
Something like that,
So
yeah.
so Mahomes got plenty of time to get to those 7 championships.
The ridiculous
And
part,
I don't know.
or go ahead.
No, I don't think that it's that far out of reach for Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
One of the most ridiculous stats is since he's taken over, right, the last 5 years of his career, this dude's been in the
Mhm.
AFC title game every single year. Like, are
It's
you serious?
it's unheard of, right?
Like, I don't even think Brady did that. He might have gone like 4 or 5, but he didn't go 5 straight. And I
Right.
think
That's
all
crazy.
5 have been at home.
Do you guys think that we're kind of
Yeah.
desensitized to how great that is because the Patriots did it? Like, I mean, not to this extent, but I mean, they did kind of something similar. What it felt like every year, like they were in the playoffs, or they were in the NFC championship or AFC championship game. I mean, we got to take it for what it is. I mean, that's a great accomplishment, right? Like, it's
Hmm.
insane. I mean,
Yeah, the last 5 years, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City, right?
right?
That's super impressive.
Hmm. Oh, you're gonna say something?
No, I just keep
No.
burping.
Um, but yeah, so going through Mahomes, and it's got to be one of those things, right? Where if he loses this one, that's got to put a big dent into like what he's trying to accomplish, or if that is in fact what is he trying to accomplish, is trying to get to multiple Super Bowls. I mean, who knows when they're going to be there again? Like you said, I mean, yeah, they made it to 5 AFC Championship games in a row, but do you think they can honestly keep this going or keep this momentum going?
I think so. I think he's had this is probably his weakest team that he's had,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in the Super Bowl again. So yeah, I think regardless of there being obstacles or a change of personnel, he seems to find a way to get the job done. So even if he loses this game, I don't think people are going to start to question his legacy, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
People call LeBron the greatest basketball player of all time, and he's lost numerous NBA championships. So
Right.
it's a setback, but it's not what's going to be written on its tombstone.
Right. What do you guys think is more likely? You think is it Mahomes reaching all of Tom Brady's like individual awards and like the records and all that stuff, or him winning as many Super Bowls as Tom Brady, or if not more? Which one do you guys think is more likely?
Mm. Well, I don't know how many MVPs does Tom Brady have.
Was it Tom Brady doesn't have very many MVPs, right? He only has three because it's like
OC.
three,
I think it's
Ye-
3.
right? I mean, if he wins this one, which is more than likely he's going to win this year, he's going to have his second MVP, right? Like, I mean, if it wasn't for Jalen getting hurt there at the end of the season, Jalen probably would have won MVP. But I mean, Mahomes is the one that kept it going. Do you guys think he's going to win MVP this year?
I think
I
it's
would
his
take
to lose.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
I would take Mahomes
Mm-hmm.
over Hurts. Yeah, Tom
So
Brady 3 MVPs. So I
right.
mean, what other stats and accolades does Patrick Mahomes like care to like break
Well, yeah, that's.
that Tom Brady has? I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the Super Bowl is that all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Brady has 3 MVPs. It seems like Mahomes will
Mm-hmm.
definitely get to at least three. He'll probably get to four eventually.
Right.
Um, the touchdown leader, the passing yards leader. I don't know if that means as much to these guys in the NFL
Mm-hmm.
as to certain other sports. I think in the NFL, people care the most about Super Bowls.
Yeah, but I'm asking which one do you think is more likely that will happen? Like
I
I'm not.
I think. Oh, okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
think what is more likely is Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm. Really? Oh, see,
Well, no,
what do you think?
actually, no, I take it
Oh,
back. I mean, 3 MVPs. Yeah, I think you'll get to four. Patrick Mahomes will get to four. That
right.
I think that's easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
That's what
say
I'm.
the MVPs.
Right. That's like because it seems like that would be easier, right? Because I feel like Mahomes has the capability of just turning any fucking game into his own little personal backyard, and he goes out and slings it and does stuff that never's ever seen before. But when it goes to getting over the hump to win a Super Bowl, not just to do it once or twice, but to do it seven, it's got to be unheard of, right? Or it's impossible,
Yeah.
right? Um, and the other side, let's talk about Jalen. Do you think Jalen is kind of solidified himself as an awesome quarterback or as an elite quarterback?
Yeah, I think he has turned some doubters like myself
Mm-hmm.
into someone that is like, okay, I'll give you some more respect. You're doing well. I just want to see how long this can last.
Right.
I've never been a big fan of super mobile quarterbacks, and he falls under that category. I think
Mm-hmm.
just because they're very injury prone. So we'll kind of see how long he can stay at this elite level.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, OC?
Yeah, I mean there's what he got drafted second behind Carson Wentz a couple years ago, and it was kind of like like why are they drafting a quarterback? Like even I was sitting there like, well, what is this gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
But little did we know that Wentz was never the same guy after that ACL tear,
Right.
and I'll be honest, I didn't think that Hurts would be what he is today. Like I wouldn't say he's like great, but he's like on the track there. The way he's
Right.
been playing this year,
Mm-hmm.
like he's earned himself that right to be considered like at least for this year, like one of the top three guys or top four
Mm-hmm.
guys. So
Right.
I still would want to see more consistency out of him. I think like what we've seen out of Burrow his first 2 or 3 years now, it's kind of like okay, he's there now.
Right.
So Jalen Hurts is like on the cusp, like he's about to do it. So if he gets another year just like this, I think we have to put him in that category too.
Do you think? I mean, you would kind of. It's kind of similar to what, like I said, Cam Newton did that year that they went to the Super Bowl. They lost in the Super Bowl, but then kind of similar to what Lamar Jackson did when he won MVP, and kind of similar to what Kaepernick did when he went to the Super Bowl. And then kind of teams start to figure out they start taking the mobility away from those quarterbacks, and their production on the field kind of goes downhill. Do you guys think we're going to get a little something similar, or do you think Hertz can actually overcome that and actually become like a pocket quarterback or improve his accuracy?
I think history has proven Hertz would need to adapt to a pocket quarterback. I think the three of us have discussed it off before that there's not been very many mobile quarterbacks. I think Russ is probably the most mobile quarterback that's ever really won
Mm-hmm.
a Super Bowl that we talked about, right? The pocket quarterback is the guy that tends to get the job done. Don't know really why. I think it has a lot to do with injury prone. Um, but I think Hertz would have to adapt into that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he can continue this mobile run first type of guy for a couple of seasons and then need to adapt. But I think the pattern and history has shown pocket quarterbacks last a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What do you got? What do you think?
That's what I was talking about. So if he can consistently develop his game. You know, like I think what's worked out for him this year is the fact that I think he's still on his rookie deal, right?
You're
So
right.
they've been able to overspend on the rest of the roster and surround him with guys like AJ Brown, and then on the defensive side they were able to go get CJ Gardner Johnson during the offseason. They still got Fletcher Cox, um, they got Darius Slay, so they have like one of the best rosters in the league. But what's gonna happen once Jalen Hurts commands, like a quarter of your payroll?
Right.
Is he going to be able to carry the team on his back like a Mahomes, And so that's why I reiterate the statement that I just made, where it's like, give me one more year of consistency where you can carry the team on your back without having to rely on defense or without
Right.
having to rely on a run game. So, where you win games. Like we've seen Mahomes win games by himself, with
Right.
these crazy plays, keeping drives alive. And if you think about it, they got rid of Tyreek Hill, right? Shipped them off. They went into the draft, got younger. They paid, obviously, they had paid Kelsey already, but they told Mahomes, look, we're gonna give you money, give us a little bit of freedom, and we'll try to surround you with younger guys. And I think that's where, if the Eagles can do that with Jalen next year or the years to come after he gets his deal, then that's where I'm gonna judge him based off of that.
Now let's say he does get the Eagles over the hump this year and he wins the Super Bowl. Does that kind of change the negotiation tactics that he would have, even if he? Because I mean, like Drew said, like a lot of these mobile quarterbacks do end up getting hurt. Do you think, and that's why we see Lamar Jackson not getting paid, right? He's not getting his money because of that playing style, the fear of him getting hurt. Obviously, he makes a difference when he's not on the field. But do you think him winning the Super Bowl kind of gives him a little bit of leverage going down when it comes down to like actually negotiating his contract?
110%. He just proved that he's capable of doing the ultimate goal and doing it his way. That doesn't mean that the inevitable is not going to happen, but he proved that he was one of the more successful guys to get the job done as a mobile quarterback. And it's really, really difficult to say, hey, look, I know that you just won us a Super Bowl playing your way, but in order for you to get the big paycheck, you need to play this way. I think that's very difficult to ask for, even though that it's probably the better move.
Do you guys think he'd be able to adapt? Like even if he were willing to like okay switch up his playing style, do you think he'd actually be able to do it? Because it's one thing to say like yeah I'm willing to do it and actually doing it, right?
I think that he could. Would he would he be at the level that he is now? I think that might be a little difficult for him. He's a top tier quarterback, but that's because of his mobility, his versatility. Um, I don't see that in his game right now, but I'm sure he could adapt. It's just not there for him at the moment.
What do you think, OC? You think he'd make a change?
I think, yeah, because I mean, you saw him when he was in college and get the rug basically pulled out from underneath him in the title game when Tua came in and took over, and then he goes and transfers to Oklahoma where he nearly won a Heisman if it wasn't for Joe Burrow,
Right.
and he was in that style of offense with Lincoln Riley where it was gun and shoot, he was playing that spread style offense. So I feel like he can. I mean,
I
he went
mean,
from one system to another, from one coach to another, and he kind
I
of
get
took
what
off
you're
with it.
I get what you're saying with the Oklahoma stuff and Lincoln Riley's system, but I mean Baker Mayfield was also successful in that system, and Kyler Murray was lights out in the system. The verdict's still out on Kyler Murray, but it's safe
Yeah,
to
but
say
what
that.
I'm saying is that he can transition. Like I've seen him do it.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah,
So I'm saying like if if he doesn't have to play that style, I think he can do it. That's what I'm trying to say.
right.
Like if they ask him to like just be uh, throw it 45 times a game, I think he's proven that he can do it. But what's neat about him is that he does use his legs, but like Drew
Right.
said, like eventually that comes to an end at some point.
Right. Well, it doesn't. It kind of seems like he doesn't use his running game to the extent that someone like Lamar Jackson does. Like Lamar Jackson, like his primary thing is the run, right? Like that's what makes
Hmm.
Lamar Jackson special. Um, So I guess he can maybe adjust a little bit. I mean, the only problem I would see is kind of his accuracy, right? Like he does kind of. I mean, watching the game against the Niners, he was kind of struggling making some of those throws. Man, not a whole lot of pressure in his face. They did take the running game away from him. Do you guys think the Chiefs have the capability of doing something similar to them this upcoming week?
Yeah, I do. What's nice about the Eagles though is most of their experience is the offensive line.
Right.
They've got guys that have won the Super Bowl before. So when you really look at the key backbone of their veteran leadership, it's the offensive line and the guys that are protecting Jalen Hurts. So I think that's a huge upper hand that they have. The Chiefs defense is good. They're quiet good. They're not over the top like they kind of used to be. They're not the top tier elite defense. But they in the past seem to just get the job done when
Right.
it's counted the most. So it's going to be fun to kind of watch that, some veterans going back and forth from guys that have been there from before, both the Eagles offensive line, the Chiefs defensive line.
Right. What do you think, OC?
As far as the matchup goes,
Right.
yeah, what you said about his accuracy kind of does raise some eyebrows, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
Philly is gonna get, or KC is gonna get to you with Chris Jones,
Right.
so he's gonna have to be able to hit Devontae and AJ. And there was, like you said, there was times where he struggled to hit guys in open space, right? Or even
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, threading the needle like we see Mahomes do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be an interesting matchup with the DBs and the receivers for Philly, because obviously I
Mm-hmm.
think they obviously have a run game with Kenneth Gainwell and Miles Sanders and Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts, a three-headed monster there, and Boston Scott even has chipped in at some point. Um, but that matchup with the DBs, is he going to be able to take advantage with his
Mm-hmm.
passing game? You know, because he's going to
Right.
get chances that, but is he going to get flustered and panic? And because Mahomes is not going down without no punches. I think
Mm-hmm.
we've all seen that. He's finally going to get to rest that ankle, and I,
Yeah.
I want to say he doesn't want to perform the way that he performed a couple years ago in the Super Bowl where they only had 9 points.
Right.
I think that's stuck in his head too. Like,
Yeah.
like he never wants to never put up less than 10 points in a
Right.
football game ever again. But yeah, that's gonna be the interesting matchup. Can
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts convert and keep drives alive against the secondary
Mm-hmm.
for Kansas City?
Because I mean, you could honestly make the argument that the Eagles have both better offense and defensive line, right? And
Yeah,
that they're going to win in the trenches. Isn't that kind of similar to the way they won the Super Bowl last time? Like they kind of used that formula, right? They dominated with the offensive line, and on the other side, they pressured. I mean, even though Brady probably had his best Super Bowl performance in his entire life, he still lost, right? They still did enough to lose. Do you think we're going to see something a little similar, or they're going to try to do something similar? Drew, OC, anybody?
Drew.
Oh,
Did you zone
can you
out or what, man?
yeah, can you repeat the question?
Jesus, man, what are you doing?
I
Um,
was I was looking at
He
OC's
was gazing
banner
into
back
your
there.
eyes.
is yeah, just lost
Just
in these
lost,
eyes.
just lost in the sauce.
I've been told I have eyes of a shark, just all black, just dark,
Dude, they're
and
fucking.
beady.
They look like little shitty eyes.
Yeah,
Little shit.
I do not have nice eyes. I do not.
No, you don't.
But yeah, we were talking about the
We were
Eagles. Just to kind of catch you up, we're talking about how like the Eagles won the last Super Bowl and they kind of used the formula of offense and defense. Or offense and defensive line? Do you think they're
Defense
going to
wins
try to do?
championships. It's one of the best dad sayings of all
Mm,
time, right? Defense wins championships.
mhm.
So whoever has a more dominant defensive line, I'm gonna say is the reason that their team's gonna win the Super Bowl. Um,
And on paper, right now, it's probably more than likely the Eagles, right? With the guys that they have up
yes, on
front.
paper, but I know that somehow, some way, the Chiefs tend to get the job done on that defensive line. When they need a stop the most, they get it, and I think that had happened when they played the Jags. It happened when they played the Bengals, and I think it's going to happen when they play the Eagles.
Okay, so now let's talk. Let's talk schematically, and then let's talk just. I mean, the coaching staff. Obviously, Andy Reid's probably a
Chiefs,
little bit better,
Chiefs,
right? The
Chiefs,
Chiefs
Chiefs.
got a better. Do you
Nick
think that's?
Sirianni. Oh God, that guy. That guy.
I don't know if you ever guys watch him. How the Pat McAfee show makes fun of him and his
No.
intelligence a little bit. They kind of take some shots at him.
He kind of
Uh,
seems like he's like the older brother of like the best player on the team that just kind of became the volunteer coach and is just riding everyone's coattails. That's my opinion.
he's like the guy who graduated 5 years ago, and he's still coaching high school football for his brother on the
Damn,
JV on the
just
JV team.
taking shots at OC, huh?
I was taking shots at myself, dude.
I was gonna say that's German right
That was
there.
me, dude. um, but yeah, do you guys think that's gonna make that big of a difference? Just, I mean, Andy Reid and
Yeah,
the experience.
I think so. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, just you look at the two coaches. Who are you gonna take? It's I
Andy
think it's a
Reid.
unanimous Andy
Yeah.
Reid, right?
Mhm.
Who's got the experience? Andy Reid. Who knows how to win? Andy Reid. Who do you trust more to overcome problems? Andy Reid. It's Andy Reid across the board. So I think that plays huge in favor for the Chiefs.
OC, you agree or disagree or?
Yeah, I think coaching wise, yeah, obviously having Andy Reid is a better edge. But if you
Right.
talk about roster uh, or sides of the ball, I think obviously you can go defense heavily for Philly. One of the top defenses in the league, which we've seen the last two games in the divisional and the championship game. And then, I mean, offense, I think you could say it's Philly, right? Because they've had like a pretty good year. But then you can't. It's like you can't count out Mahomes. It's kind of like a stalemate. So,
Right.
but if you want to break it down, obviously having guys like Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson on your offensive line are pretty huge. So a couple of All Pro guys. So I think that's where you give them the edge. So
Isn't it cool that, I mean, we're kind of seeing two different styles of offense, right? Where the Chiefs are more finesse and will kind of just out try to outsmart you. Sometimes they do outsmart themselves, and they do all kinds of, like, crazy stuff. And then the Eagles are pretty much just going to run the ball down your throat, right? Like, we're seeing two sides of football, or two different styles of offense. Which do you guys think is going to come up on top? I mean, pretty much.
Chiefs. I'm taking
You still-
the Chiefs.
You're still taking the Chiefs all the way?
Yes, I'm taking the Chiefs all the way.
come on,
How
man,
about
this
you?
guy. You know he's not gonna pick the Eagles. He's been calling them frauds all year.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what do you think, OC?
Flat out, I think Philly's gonna win just because of the defense and because I think they can get to Mahomes. But I mean,
I think Mahomes on the run is sometimes better than Mahomes in the pocket.
Yeah, that's the outlier right there. That kind of
Right.
like scares
Yeah,
me.
you
like,
you want to get to Mahomes to flush him out the pocket, and then all of a sudden he turns into a god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because that was the Bengals, not this last game, but the year before, right? Remember when they kept them in the pocket, where at times they only rushed 3 and they drop an 8 and struggled,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. The only thing that I would give Philly though, like obviously their defense is loaded, and when Mahomes does get out of the pocket, but I mean, Philly does have Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner Johnson,
Right.
so they have pretty good DBs, that can ball hawk, and I feel like, I mean, that's just all around. I think that's going to be the determining factor that Philly can get to. They led the league in sacks this year, so I think they can probably get to Mahomes a couple of times, if not
Right.
more than other
My question,
teams.
my question for you, OC, is who's wearing white?
I did my study, so
Chiefs.
KC, is wearing white.
I'm sticking with
We're
the
gonna break down
Chiefs.
stats. Last 25 Super Bowls, the white jersey is 19-6,
I'm
Right.
taking the Chiefs.
and the only
Don't-
two or the other three colors that have won: blue twice, red twice, green twice.
Green with the Eagles when they won it.
Yeah.
And
And
that's the one that
the Chiefs won it when they were red, right?
with red, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it can go either way, honestly.
And
Um,
those were the last two teams to win it, other than the
the
Packers
white
who wore
jerseys,
green like 12 years ago. Yeah, other than the white
right?
jerseys.
I mean, there could potentially be a stalemate. Like I'm not expecting any type of blowout. I'm expecting it to go down to the wire. But I honestly think I'm just gonna go with a better quarterback, and I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think this is their game to lose, really. But I know, right? The Eagles are favorites, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
What does the line have in that?
I think
Vegas.
when German, when you say it's going to be stalemate, I think you're correct. I think this is going to be a very evenly matched, down to the wire type of game. And when you have that, you take Patrick Mahomes and Andy
Right.
Reid over Jalen Hurts and Nick
And Nick
Sirianni.
Sirianni.
Yeah,
What are you gonna say, OC?
I said the game is at like -1.5, pushing 2 points in favor of Philly. So
Right.
even
one
Vegas
and a
thinks
half.
even
Jesus.
Vegas thinks it's a toss up at this point. You know, because I mean last year it was like 4 points for the Rams. The year before, I think KC was favored. You know, so but this year is like the one year in the last couple of years where it's literally like a coin flip.
Right.
Whose
So
fans are going to travel better? Is it KC or Philly?
It's a good question.
I think it's
Philly,
going to be
Very good. I
KC,
mean,
right?
I don't. Is there really gonna be legit fans in the Super Bowl? I mean, those Super Bowl tickets are like 6,000 a piece.
yeah, but these
How many
these
how many Philly fans are out here?
crazy. Hey, they played earlier in the year in Arizona, and they had a large contingency of Eagles fans
Yeah?
in that game. Yeah,
Huh.
I was watching that game, sitting there like, damn, there's that many Eagles fans in Arizona.
But I feel like the Super Bowl nowadays is more like a heavyweight title fight, right? Where it's just
Yeah.
you just got a bunch of celebrities, influencers out there. Not a lot of them are like actual legit fans of the
Yep.
team, right? You get the president there, royalty and stuff like that. So I mean, it's kind of a spectacle. But I mean, I think the Eagles fans probably are going to have more fans than the Chiefs fans.
If you guys kind of look at it, it's a little interesting. You guys probably don't know, but this weekend is the Waste Management Open. It's a golf tournament that's held in Scottsdale every year, and this is the one where they have that. You guys maybe have seen like some clips of that one hole that has the grandstands all the way around, where the fans are like going nuts all the time. That is being held this weekend in Scottsdale. So that entire Phoenix Scottsdale area is going to have so many people this weekend between the Super Bowl and that tournament at the same time. It's kind of going to be a party over there in Arizona.
Just everything out in the desert, right? Pro Bowl
Yeah.
in Vegas and Super Bowl in Scottsdale and that.
And
going on.
then on Monday, pitchers and catchers report to spring training in Arizona. Baseball
there you
season is
go.
back.
So yeah, I mean, speaking about Vegas, OC, what kind of other interesting stuff you have to throw at us, man? What?
Oh, let's run down this line.
You degenerate.
Let's see. Um,
I want to know the Gatorade. I want to pick the Gatorade first.
okay.
Oh, what color Gatorade they're gonna have?
What color Gatorade is the winning coach going to have dumped on him?